Hello and welcome to the Unlucky Frog Gaming Podcast. You are joined by your usual hosts, Josh Hartley and Tom Mannering. Tom, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not bad. Listeners, we took a week off last week. I was helping Ben and Charlotte with their house move, and I was just absolutely destroyed for the rest of the weekend afterwards. I remember
Physical activity is not your forte.
No, it is not. Never has been, but particularly now. I just, like, at the end of the day, so it was like, I went round to theirs for like 9 o'clock, and we were basically packing things and loading things from vans right through until 7 in the evening. And like, at the end of it, I was just thinking to myself, is this what honest work feels like? This is awful. Who would do this?
Hard graft, mate. Hard graft.
Yeah. So I basically slept for the rest of the weekend. To be fair, there's not been an awful lot newsworthy to talk about, but we have still been doing some gaming, so we'll have a chat about that. There is one Kickstarter that I've just sent Tom the link literally moments ago that I thought was worth discussing. So this is Upzone. So what this is a terrain system for tabletop war games like Warhammer 40k, Age of Sigmar, etc. That is all done using pop-up books. So the idea is you buy this box set is enough to cover, I think it's a 6x4, and you don't have to paint anything, no assembly or anything like that, and it all folds away into this small box, and you can just literally unfold everything and it pops up. So I sent you the link, Tom. What do you make of it?
I mean, it looks all right. I'm not excited by it, giving it a once-over. But I think it's one of those things. I think it's always nicer to have more stuff on the market than not, right? Like, you're better having more than less. I think the one that I think looks the most interesting is the Dungeon Zone. Maybe that's just me personally, that they've done.
There's a bit more variety with that one. To be fair.
Definitely. But I mean, there's been things like that before as well. So I mean, that's not even really that new, conceptually. But I mean, it looks fine. Yeah, I really don't have much to add beyond that. It's fine.
The thing is, like, for me, I totally get the market for it. Like, not everyone is into painting terrain or building terrain. And, like, pretty much every single alternative requires assembly at the very least. And usually painting as well. I don't think it looks as nice as, like... Certainly not, like, the GW terrain, but, like, I've got a ton of, like, MDF terrain that I've painted up, which I much prefer the look of. The other thing for me, the price point is $100 for one of the sets. I think that's a bit too much for what you're getting personally. But I don't know. It may well be of appeal to some people. I tell you what, it would be really good for would probably be for clubs and tournament organisers, right? Because it's not just the speed of setup and the time you save in like painting it so that it's ready. The storage space as well is a big deal for those guys. So the fact that they don't take up an awful lot of room when they're boxed away is a big bonus as well.
I think you can
supplement it.
Yeah, I think my concern with it would be how robust it is. Over time, like something like this is going to take a lot of wear and tear. Just being used. And if you look, there's a picture sort of halfway down the Kickstarter, and it says, "Will Upzone terrain hold the weight of my models?" And it's like, yes, it will. But then I'm looking at the picture, and like it's quite well hidden. But on the left-hand side, behind the sort of heaviest looking model, you can see it actively bowing underneath the model. And I'm like, well,
true.
it will, but only just.
They've actually strategically placed the photo of them weighing said model as well, just to cover it.
I'm onto you, Upzone.
And presumably they're resin models as well. I've got some pretty chonky, like pewter and like lead models as well that I would be concerned about placing on top of it.
Bust out the old metal Balrog from Lord of the Rings and see if that'll go on there.
No chance. But like heavy models aside as well, like just cardboard is not as robust as plastic or MDF.
No, not at all.
So you know, it is going to wear and tear quicker.
I think ultimately as well, and this isn't critical of cardboard as a terrain type, because I have used it in the past and I probably will use it in the future, but it just doesn't have the depth to it. You know, if you look at like an MDF board where it's a little thinner than plastic usually, you can tell there's not as much depth, but they can create the illusion of depth quite easily by layering it and things. Whereas if you look at like plastic, you can get a nice bit of sort of substance to it. Whereas if you look at like the top of like the crenellations on a castle there, they're flat. You know, they're two-dimensional.
Yeah.
Which it's not a deal breaker, but for me, it just removes a level of kind of excitement.
Yeah, I get that, and like everyone wants nice terrain. There is Ben usually makes the point that you don't want your terrain overshadowing your actual miniatures.
I disagree.
You think the terrain should be like as impressive as possible?
I not necessarily better than, but definitely on par with. Like I really enjoy a nice board. With decent terrain on it. I mean, I have a sizable collection of 40k terrain, which has only gotten...
you do. You've got like tons of stuff.
Yeah, gotten more significant over the years, because I love like a busy board that has a story of its own.
Yeah, we need to get that painted up at some point, man.
We do. We do indeed. It's on the agenda, the very long-term agenda. I've still got like 2 boxes of stuff to assemble as well. It's a rod from my own back. Is that terrain?
What, like terrain or actual minis?
No. My minis are fairly up to date. I've got a couple of Necromunda gangs I need to build, but aside from that, I think everything's assembled. No, it's terrain that I need to do mostly. I'll probably get more before I finish assembling what I've even got.
Fair. I'm guilty of that. Most of my terrain, I'm looking over like my tub of terrain. Most of it's painted. I've got some bits and pieces to finish off, but I'm not far from it. And then I will allow myself to. To be fair, I'll probably wait until we can actually like game face to face again.
Yeah.
Before I invest in more expensive stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout.
But we'll post the link for Upzone so that you, dear listener, can judge it for yourselves and see whether it's right for you. There's still plenty of time left on the Kickstarter, so you'll be able to back it if you don't mind paying $100 for a fancy pop-up book.
I think this is where you sort of tell me, oh, by the way, this episode's sponsored by Upzone after I've just gone into it.
If we have a sponsorship, and we haven't done it while Ben's been off, but this episode is sponsored by Ashenhold Art. And so if you need to get your minis painted, hit Ben up. He'll get them sorted for you. He dropped off my Nurgle Demon Prince, my Death Guard Rhino, and one of the characters, I can't remember his name, Foul Blight Spawn, is the one with like the big flamethrower on his back. So he dropped them off the other day, so it's nice to...
Yeah, I saw those. They're very nice.
Yes. So,
well, actually, no, they were disgusting, but they're supposed to be disgusting.
But exactly. They're supposed to be gross. He did for the Demon Prince. He's magnetized some like giant fly wings to go on his back as well, which is like very nurgly. very good. So gaming wise, what have we been up to?
I've done, since our last episode a fortnight ago, I've done a fair bit of role playing wise. Not so much board and card for obvious reasons at the moment. I know you still manage to do some card games via the internet, but I can't bring myself to do that. But I've done some role playing games over the last couple of weeks. I've played quite a few games with yourself. Obviously, we continued the Age of Sigmar campaign, which is now finished for 2020.
Yeah, we have finished our little arc, finding one of Valenza's a piece of Valenza's old sword,
his legacy weapon. And what else did I do? Ran Star Wars for yourself as well. Been GMing a bit of Star Wars. That's going quite nicely. We're still progressing through the first sort of plot of that. Just gone into Act 2 of that, and we had a bit of a social session where you were at a party.
Yeah, we went to a soiree hosted by what was his Baron
Duke Piddock.
Duke Piddock. I got the title wrong and everything. Duke
Clearly
Piddock
paying attention.
Of the Geonosians.
Yes.
So I remember that bit. So this was all like guys to. We're basically pretending to be arms dealers. Although in the process of pretending to be arms dealers, we're actually securing some weapons for the Rylith rebellion. So I guess we are armed. I guess we're arms dealers now. but
Faking it till you make it, quite literally.
Yeah, but the real motivation is to find a way to get at the Hutt, who is after us.
Yeah.
So a lot of intrigue. Some very sketchy characters at this party. I think towards the end of the session, we might have been rumbled. I think one of the guys there is a bounty hunter who's after us. So,
and your R3 droid encountered a bit of droidism. I don't know what the term would be for it.
Droidist. Yeah. Someone there gave me the stink eye.
Yep, being a droid.
Yeah, how horrible.
I know, right? Persecution in the galaxy far, far away. It's quite interesting. Like it's a scripted module, and it's like the sort of the beginner one. Although it's quite advanced for a beginner one, but it's the beginner one. But it's always interesting seeing where parties take these stories themselves, because obviously, although they're scripted, everybody has their own kind of take on it, and their own approach to it. So it's been quite fun watching you guys sort of make your own way through it and make your own sort of moves as to how you want to deal with each situation. I mean, you avoided some encounters, you steamrolled into some others, and you've
putting it lightly.
Yeah, you had a little bit of clumsiness, I would say, with the social encounters, but you managed to kind of fumble your way through it.
Yeah, it's it's a whole new universe, and it does like affect the way that you play your characters. I usually play characters that are quite chatty, but I'm playing a droid, and I'm kind of... He's sassy. He'll talk back to people, but I'm conscious of the fact that a lot of the characters in this setting will view him as a second-class citizen, and will probably be a bit like, well, why on earth are you trying to strike up conversation with me? Or trying to lead this negotiation?
Yeah.
So I've been kind of taking a backseat for that reason.
I think having an astromech droid leading a negotiation would be a bit odd as well. Whistles and boops.
Yeah.
You've not whistled and booped as much as I would like, to be honest, Josh. I will say that. Feedback for
okay, wow.
Your character.
Right, okay. I wasn't aware that we were going to get an end of term report, but here we go.
Josh tries in class, but his whistles and boops are wanting.
I did find a soundboard for my phone that has some of the R2 sound effects. So I have used them. I have used them occasionally, but it's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Beyond that, the only gaming I've done outside of those was I got to play in the Legacy Warhammer game that my friend Colin runs and has run since university.
Yeah. So I'm not wanting. How long has that been going for now?
That has been going intermittently since my second year at university, so a long time ago. I want to say
Okay.
about 17, maybe 18 years.
Oh right, okay.
It's a long ass time. This is Lila Lenza, the sort of the precursor to a Lenza that I play in Age of Sigmar, who's a Stormcast Eternal reincarnation of him. He's a much shadier character in his original existence. But we had a marathon session, which was we started at 12 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, and we didn't finish until 11:30 that Sunday night. So it was 11 and a half hours of solid online role playing.
Whew.
I had to get like a crew to come in at the end and remove me from my seat.
Just like
melted into it.
Like no, you took breaks though, right?
I think we took a 20-minute break for lunch. That was about it.
Holy hell, that's a long day, man.
It was good though. It was a lot of fun. We had one of the legacy characters carked it. He got offed by an exalted chaos champion.
They're gonna do that.
Yep. Which is
they're pretty nasty.
Yeah, definitely. We did. It was quite funny because we were trying to figure out how to get past the encounter with him because we knew it was going to be really brutal. And someone suggested, why don't we challenge him in one-on-one? Because in the Chaos Warrior Codex, Chaos Champions always have to accept a challenge in the tabletop game. So we were like, we'll just apply a bit of that meta here. I'm sure that'll work. And it did. I mean, the guy got killed, but it got us past them in a roundabout way.
Sure. That's a heavy price to pay to get past.
I mean, I didn't pay it.
Yeah. Tom Mannering, team player.
Exactly. What about yourself? What have you been up to aside from
so
that?
it's funny you mentioned Magic the Gathering, and I haven't done any Magic lately, and I don't know. I thought it might be a good. Because I've alluded a bit to it in the podcast previously, how I feel about the game at the moment, and I think it's hammered home how scunnered I am with Magic recently, because they've got on Magic Online, they've got the Vintage Cube is back up.
Okay.
Cube being the draft format, which is kind of like a greatest hits of Magic. These are all like the stupidly powerful and really fun cards to play. And I found out about a week ago that it was back online. I'm not excited at all.
No. What is it that's... What is... I'm going to sit on your couch for a second. What is it that's bothering you about Magic?
I think... all right, I think a big part of it is the pandemic. I think my favourite way to play Magic the Gathering is in person.
Sure.
And, you know, like, I treat it like a lot of my hobbies, it's an excuse to hang out with people, right? And, you know, I previously was going to draft at Geekaboo, and, you know, it was nice. It was great once a week on a Sunday, just catching up with those guys and hanging out, doing the draft. And obviously... they are Thomas at Geekaboo is still like running online events, and I've participated in some of them. I haven't participated in some of the recent ones just because I've not been feeling it. But he's doing a great job of like keeping that little community going.
Okay,
but so that I think that's the main reason. The main reason is I'm not getting to play it in the way that I want to play it.
Yeah,
like face to face.
Okay.
I think the other reasons are that I've not been really enjoying a lot of the new sets that they've released. I've not been excited for them.
Is that from a thematic aspect, and that you're not sort of excited about the the planes that they're doing, or is it that you're not excited about the sort of mechanics that they're doing for the sets?
A bit of both.
Right.
I mean, the latest release was Zendikar Rising, so we're back on Zendikar again, and a lot of the same mechanics have returned, like landfall, and it's stuff that we've seen plenty of times before, and I'm like, come on, guys, let's try something new. What I am looking forward to is them going to the Forgotten Realms next year. I think that's going to be really good fun. And there is a mechanic that they've introduced in Zendikar Rising, which I think they will be bonkers if they don't carry it over to the Forgotten Realms. The mechanic is party. Okay. You basically get a bonus if you have different cllasses of creatures on the table. So, like, you have, like, it's wizard, rogue, cleric, warrior, I think, off the top of my head, because they don't have fighter as a class in Magic the Gathering. So I think thematically that would be great for the Dungeons and Dragons set. You know,
definitely.
So that's a lesser reason. Okay. Like, I think business as usual. Like, if we were still going to the shop and playing in person, I'd still be doing it because it's a fun way to spend a Sunday.
Sure.
Like,
yeah, I think that's fair. I do have a question for you about Magic, but I'll come back to it in just a second. Just because you've mentioned it, I think the Forgotten Realms set of Magic is probably going to be the first time I come back to Magic for a set.
Yeah.
And I think the last one I was in was the last one in Innistrad. I think was maybe my last expansion.
No, we've done some pre-releases.
Yeah, but I went to pre-releases and that was it. Like, I didn't get into the set. I just did a couple of pre-releases. I mean, like, when I mean properly into it, I mean like going and buying like a box, or like playing a lot of games, or making a deck around a set. So yeah, I think that might be one that hooks me back in, even if it's just for that set. But I do have a question for you, and I want to see A, you know about this, and B, if you can confirm the legitimacy of it. So I saw today that in a new, I think it's the Secret Layers they're called, there's a land coming out that has art on it by Bob Ross. Is that true?
I have no idea.
Right,
I have not heard that. I'm gonna very quickly look this up. Hold on.
Because I was on Facebook and I saw like and I was like, I had to almost double check myself because I was like, is this like an April Fool's thing? To see if it was a thing. But yeah, apparently there's a secret layer that's coming out.
Leaked. Yeah,
that's got art by Bob Ross.
It's because it's been leaked because someone's managed to get into the codes and files for Magic the Gathering Arena.
Right.
And they've managed to find the assets through that. That is that is in keeping with Secret Lair, and to be fair, it's not one of the wackiest things they've done with Secret Lair. Cough, cough, Walking Dead, cough, cough.
Cough, cough, ponies.
Yeah. So, you know, that's cool. That's a neat little collector's item. That's what Secret Lair should be for as far as I'm concerned. I've never purchased a single Secret Lair. I'll preface it with that. I will fritter my money away on other things.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool like way to do it, to get sort of different artists that really wouldn't do Magic stuff. You know, I mean, how far is that going to go? Are we going to get like a Banksy land or something in the next Secret Layer?
No, Banksy should do like alt art for some famous goblins. I think he would do a good goblin.
Yeah, yeah, holding like an umbrella and a balloon or something. Yeah, I think that's a much cooler way of doing it, and getting Bob Ross. Like, I didn't even know Bob Ross was still alive, to be honest.
No, he's not. He's not alive.
He's not. Right. Okay.
I'm pretty sure he passed away. So this will be like art that he's already done that is being framed into Magic the Gathering.
I wonder. They must have like had to go for like his family or something then to get permission to use it. Then.
Oh yeah. They'll. They must have done that, but.
It's quite interesting.
He was insanely prolific because obviously he had his TV show. I think he's like he's like one of the artists that has done the most paintings in his lifetime, just because he was doing like several a day. So they'll have had, and they were all like landscapes as well. So they will have plenty to choose from.
Yeah.
From his work. So that's cool. And that's in fitting with Secret Lair. I'm probably not going to buy it, but
no, but it's nice to know it's there in kind of the community and the general Magic universe, the Magic the Gathering universe, if you will.
So, other gaming-wise, my new books for 40k arrived last week. So I've been perusing over them. So I got the Codex supplements for Space Wolves and Death Watch. And I got the Big Forge World book as well.
And how have you found
them? Space Wolves don't really appeal to me. So... But it's a nice thing to have. Like I've said on previous episodes, I'm going to try and collect all the codices as they come out. Death Watch is cool, with the idea of being able to build these kill teams. So like mix and matching different types of Space Marines and putting them all in the same squad, I think is a neat idea. Okay. Unfortunately, I think there's a way for people to cheese these rules and like come up with like broken lists, but. They'll FAQ it at some point. The Forge World book's the one that I've been spending the most time poring over, though. And the thing that really has caught my eye is that they have brought back the Orc War Boss on bike. So, and just, it's an awesome model, right? And he's actually very good in the game now again. Okay. Which makes me kind of want to get like an Orc Biker or like Orc
Speed
like
Freaks.
Mad Max, Speed Freaks army, like just all vehicles. I think that would be really cool, but I'm gonna not waste my money, because frankly, if I'm gonna pick up a second army, it's probably gonna be Blood Angels.
Really?
Because Sanguinian Guard are awesome. So the Golden Boys.
I had a Sanguinian Guard army.
Oh, man.
I sold it.
Yeah.
In fact, the Sanguinian Guard in the Codex that I did them in, 9-10 years ago, I think there's only like 42 members of the Sanguinian Guard. It's a really like random number. And I actually made my force so it had that many Sanguinian Guard in it.
Nice.
So it was the exact number that were contained in the chapter. But then it was like, why would they be sending out like this incredibly elite force to go and deal with, like a random orc tribe that's going around? It literally only 40 odd Sanguinian Guard that exists, but it was a horrible, horrible army. It's so broken. It's the only time I've had an army that I think I won all but one game with, and I got to a point with it that I found it really boring because I just knew how to win. And
the old throat punch.
Yeah, I was sort of like, I'm not enjoying this because there's no challenge anymore. And like, I'd even try and sort of mix up my tactics, and they'd ultimately still end up doing the same thing because they were a close combat army. And I remember the death sort of stroke for it was I was playing my friend's Tyrannid army in Games Workshop Carlisle, and he had just loads and loads of like Termagants and Hormagaunts and Gene Stealers, all the close combat horde units, and we just charged at each other, and I just chewed through him, and I was like, this is not right. Like, that's a close combat army. They should be stomping me. And it wasn't even like bad luck on his part or anything. It was just how extremely competitive that list was. And I think that Sanguinian Guard will be even more so with the 2 wounds as well that I imagine they might get.
Yeah, they are very good currently. And not just the fact that they're good, they're actually quite cheap points-wise for what they do. They're 35 points a model, which does put them firmly in that this is an elite, an elite troop. but I think each model does something like 5 or 6 attacks on the charge.
Yeah.
So like if you're fielding like a unit of 10 of them, like 60 attacks on the charge, you should be able to just delete anything that you touch with them, really.
Yeah. Do they have 2 wounds in the new rules, or are they still
do.
1 wound? They do. Yeah. Okay, of course they
do. So my idea though is not to use like the regular Sanguinian Guard models. I want to kit bash and make more Primaris scale ones using the Stormcast Eternals from Age of Sigmar.
Okay.
Like they've got like the Death Mask on the go as well. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the Angel Wings, because you do have the ones in Age of Sigmar that have like actual
Seraph,
big Angel Wings.
Seraph or something?
Yeah, I can't quite remember the unit name.
Yeah.
My issue with that is I think that might be a bit too much, having all of them like that. So I might just be a bit more muted with their jetpacks.
Okay.
And like give them normal wings. Although I was trying to find, it's surprisingly difficult to find like that scale Angel Wings to put on miniatures. I couldn't find any on the internet. So listeners, if you know somewhere where I can buy that sort of stuff, let me know. But most of the bits companies that I go to didn't seem to have anything that would work for that.
Or if you're particularly inclined, set up your own company creating Angel Wings for miniatures.
Angelwingsforminiatures.com. There we go.
Exactly.
I'll go buy that domain name in a moment.
And you can charge for that as well. You've got a commission fee right there.
But the other thing I want to try out with Blood Angels is like the other unique stuff to that chapter. Like I'd want to get some Death Company, and I definitely want to get a Librarian Dreadnought. I was talking to Ben how to convert up a Librarian Dreadnought, and just the idea of having like loads of like books like chained to him, and like just, you know how ridiculous 40k is. You could have like loads of candles placed on them as well. Like,
if you do go that way, actually, if you ever do make that army, I think I might have a Furioso Dreadnought still buried around somewhere. I got from someone. That I'll chuck your way.
You up on that. And of course, the other idea for an army that I want to do is like the all Dreadnought Iron Hands.
Is that a thing?
That's a thing, and that actually works.
Wow. Okay.
It's not strictly speaking all Dreadnoughts. You need like some of the support characters in there to actually make it work. Like you need a Tech Priest,
which makes sense.
Tech Marine. Yeah, but Dreadnoughts are like really good in this edition. So and it's just fun and like quite fluffy, you know, like that's what the Iron Hands are gonna do. They've got like loads of like big war gear. So
I think that's one of the things new 40k, or not even new 40k, the last few editions of 40k have done quite well. They've allowed you to do a lot more narrative composition on your army. Just having like I think Unbound list, is it? Or whatever it's called.
Well, you can do that, but even within like the match play force organization, it is pretty like freeform. Like that Speed Freaks army we were talking about. Yeah, you could totally field an orc army that doesn't have any troops at all, and it's all bikes and buggies and all that. Would it be good? Probably not. But would it be fun? Yes. Yes, it would.
Well, you've got because you've got the choices now when you take like the force organization chart, where you can take the different sort of patrol and battalion and reconnaissance and all that kind of stuff, that give you like, you don't even need to have troops. You can just have, you know, fast attack. Is it still called?
Fast attack, or like an elite based. I mean, like when I looked at the elite based one, I was thinking like Deathwing from Dark Angels. Yeah, I remember. You remember Matt Lund from?
Yeah, I also remember his Deathwing army very well.
Yeah, that was beautiful, that army.
I beat that with my Sangari Guard instantly.
I imagine you would have, because Deathwing weren't good in that edition.
No,
but they're pretty decent now.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think that's a great addition to the game, that because back in my day, you couldn't really go outside of, you know, 2 troops and a HQ, and then you had a couple of slots around that you could fill with some elites and some fast attack and blah blah blah. But now there's so much more customization of your force organization chart. I think that's a really good step in the right direction for making more narrative-driven armies. It does open you up a little bit to some more cheese wheelie armies as well, but it's the price you pay.
The thing is, it depends on who are you playing it with, right? Like, because I ain't going to GW or like another gaming store and just like playing against randos anymore. I'm probably going to be playing mostly against you and Ben. Like, I might have a crack at tournaments when they start up again, but
I wouldn't mind going back to a tournament down at Warhammer World. I did a few back when I worked at Games Workshop.
They're so much fun.
Yeah, I've had mixed bag experiences. I could probably do an episode on tournament experiences and tell some interesting anecdotes. But yeah, I've had some really good experiences down there as well. So quite often, a lot of the more enjoyable things that happen when I'm at those events have nothing to do with the tournament themselves. It's the events around it. But
yeah. Of course. I mean, God, I remember poor Simon. We were going down for a fantasy, Warhammer Fantasy tournament, and he was finishing off his Night Goblin army, and I kid you not, I think something like 200 models he managed to paint in very quick succession, and he was done. He was done in by that.
Funnily enough, I have a story related to last-minute painting of Night Goblins at a tournament as well. Not myself, but I was privy to this. So I went to a tournament for the Student Nationals with a friend of mine, and there were a group of us went down, and he took Night Goblins, and he hadn't painted the army at all, and he just said, "I'll paint them the night before." And I'll just do what needs to be done to get them. I think it was one of those like you had to touch 3 colours on.
Had he primed them model. At least?
This is where the story sort of gets awkwardly interesting. So we got down there and we said, "Have you got your primer?" And he said, "Oh, I haven't brought any primer with me." And we were like, "Well, don't worry. There's a Games Workshop here." And we got there early enough in the day that we could get to the Games Workshop.
So hold on. You're there on the day. When's the tournament?
The next day.
Okay. 24 hours.
Yeah, less than 24 hours. Probably about 18 hours. So we're like, right, what paints have you got? And he's like, right, well, I've got green for the skin. I've got metal for the weapons, and then they'll have their robes, which I'll prime black. We went to the Games Workshop, and they only had white primer.
No. This isn't going where I think this is going.
So he got the white primer. We primed his Night Goblins and started painting them and realised how inappropriate.
So for those of you who don't like play Warhammer or never played Warhammer Fantasy, right? Night Goblin robes have like that like sort of traditional like clerical looking robes with pointy hoods.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so at what point did someone say, guys, we're painting up tiny clan members?
It was probably further in than it should have been, because we were all quite tired from having travelled down to the event and sort of run around getting stuff.
Wow.
He had to go with them as was, and he basically, if I remember rightly, he got pulled up by one of the staff.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, "Do you think that's appropriate?" And he told them the story, and they were quite sympathetic to him.
Yeah.
Because he did say, "Look, this is not my intention at all. I went to get black primer. They only had white primer. I didn't want to come with an unpainted army. I swear, as soon as I get home, they're getting reprimed and repainted." But that always kind of struck in my memory.
You might have got away with it if you painted the hoods a different colour, right?
I think on some of them he did like
maybe like give them like a red or a blue hood.
Yeah. Just to sort of break it up. But there were so many.
To be like, this isn't the KKK. Like,
It's not the way. You don't want to start a tournament going in with your hands up going, I'm not a racist. You know, that's not the way to start your tournament experience.
I'm not a racist, but here's my army. Like,
so, little bit of advice for you there. Always check your army is politically correct.
Just paint your army in plenty of time, basically.
That too. That helps a lot in that process.
And do you know what's a great way of making sure your army's painted in plenty of time? Hitting up Ash and Hold Art
Boom!
on Facebook.
Round!
So Ben and Charlotte are moving into their new house this weekend, so we will get both Ben and Charlotte back on the show soon. And I know Ben, obviously with him doing the miniatures painting pretty much full time now, he's getting his own studio set up. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that looks when it's all done. We'll keep you all posted on that, no doubt. But I think on the note of tiny racist goblins, should we draw this episode to a close?
Sure, that seems like a good point to end the episode.
Okay, look, guys. So thanks very much for listening, and as always, take care.
Bye.
Bye.